You guys remember Lolo Jones, the motor-mouthed sports model who was addicted to Twitter and couldn't win a race to save her life? I just thought that as long as I was updating people on how my past predictions have come to pass, I'd go ahead and update them on Lolo the Loser Jones as well. For those of you still out there hoping your favorite light-skinned loser might win a track medal in 2016, you can give that one up. Lolo Jones certainly has. As I said, she can't win a medal for herself. She just doesn't have the talent. She's still going to try for the Olympics, only now she's switched events from track to, get this, bobsledding. You can't make this stuff up. Clearly, Jones realizes what I've said all along, that she'll never get an Olympic medal on her own, so she's desperately hoping that if she can attach herself to a team, these superior athletes will be able to win a medal for her. And exactly how much training does it take to become a professional bobsledder? Well, as the Jamaican bobsled team proved, the ice does most of the work. Lolo Jones managed to become a world-class level bobsledder in only 3 months. And that white media that used to love her so much, they have turned on her now. One of the great perks about being Professor Black Truth is that I'm not the one who winds up having to eat his words. In the last year, Lolo Jones has come undone. First, she weighs in on the Trayvon Martin trial, sounding as racist as any white bigot. Then she makes an off-color joke about guns. This only a few weeks after the massacre in Colorado. And these days, she's not just tweeting about having college kids come bathe with her. Now she's openly accepting applications for them to do so. What a class act. For a woman who claims to be so chastened, her sex life is all out in the streets. Now, Jones may have changed her sport, but she hasn't changed her attitude. And where are her former defenders now? They have now decided to either pretend that they always knew what a fraud she was and go in on her, or they just cut her loose altogether and refuse to talk about her. They've simply run out of excuses to make for her. She refuses to stay off Twitter, refuses to stop acting like an idiot, and refuses to shut up. See, as I told you a year ago, the problem wasn't what Wells and Harper were saying. They are actual winners, and if they were castigating Jones, it was for a reason. Harper and Wells have always been gracious to their opponents, even the ones they lost to. But Lolo Jones couldn't even manage to be gracious to her own teammates. She's not used to having to share the spotlight, and she clearly doesn't like it. So, what are Jones' chances for winning a team medal? If her present behavior is any indication, not very good. Jones hasn't even begun training with her team, and already she's gotten into fistfights with the people attached to the bobsledding team. Wow, so it's not just Harper and Wells who Jones can't get along with. Seems everywhere she goes, rancor and acrimony follows. I wonder if people like Terrell Starr will still tell us that this is smart and media savvy. And not only is Jones combative with other teammates, she's also as great a prima donna as ever. See, Lolo Jones is used to getting endorsement deals for nothing. She's never had to actually earn a paycheck. All she had to do was just stand there. Real athletes have to raise money to get to the Olympics, and it's hard. She could just rely on her modeling job instead. It's one thing to be a lone teeny bopper posing on a track field for a race you'll never win, but bobsledding doesn't lend itself to any stars, so don't expect to see Red Bull promoting her. But now she's in the real world of elite athletics, and she has no corporate sponsorship, so she only gets what the bobsledding team can afford to pay. In this case, $700. You can probably guess how immaturely she handled that.
7 months with bobsled season. The whole season. That's it. I was just calling. I'm going to be a little bit late on my rent.
Some athletes see her comments as kind of snobby, considering Jones is making very, very good money in endorsements.
Yep. She went on Twitter and openly disparaged the money given to her. What she didn't appreciate was that she actually got paid more than bobsledding athletes usually receive. She tried to smooth her temper tantrum over with an obviously insecure, half-assed apology, but nobody was buying it. She never understood that Olympic athletes simply don't get paid the same way sports models do, and the other bobsledders let her know that her arrogance was not appreciated. As is the media now. People are finally beginning to understand what I meant when I explained that the reason Harper and Wells slighted Jones was because she was cheapening the sport that they gave their lives to and was being arbitrarily given something that she hadn't earned: sports recognition. Let me say it again. All an athlete has is their fame, especially in the Olympics where that's the only way to get endorsements. If the fame is given to sports models based on how light their skin is or how allegedly pretty they are, then you have robbed the real athletes of their reason for competing and have robbed the sport of its value. But that doesn't seem to be an issue, since Lolo Jones is no longer the media darling anymore. Now all those publications who used to praise her are sounding just like me. Nice to see the white media finally catch up. Lolo Jones sees herself as a white girl with street cred, and it's a shame so many black people defended her for so long when they ought to not have. But unfortunately, the love of light-skinned women is so deep in some black people's minds they just can't help themselves. If I were a betting man, I'd wager that Lolo Jones will wind up getting herself kicked off the bobsled team. She brings nothing but problems, and in a sport where it takes all three of you to win, you simply can't afford that. Now I know that with her star having fallen, and with her behavior having become so egregious that everyone dislikes her, I'll have a lot of people amening my every word. But my question is, where are all her defenders? I want the people who vilified Harper and Wells to either come out and continue championing Jones, or to admit that they were wrong. But in truth, I expect neither. You've probably noticed that I've used the last few videos I've posted to take some credit. That's because I just want it noted for posterity that somebody knew what was happening and didn't need to wait for events to finally become irrefutable or for the white media to tell him what was going on. Detroit, Robert Mugabe, Lolo Jones, Asian racism. If you just bother to think for yourself, it's not that hard to read the tea leaves and predict what the future holds. I knew Lolo Jones was in the wrong from the very beginning, and there's no excuse for anyone else not knowing this, because even a fool could see she was the recipient of white privilege. Lolo Jones might have been fine if she had just been able to win some medals. Problem is, she never did. So white power is tossing her aside and looking for someone more useful. Some of you are no doubt wondering, how could the media that built her up like that just turn their backs on her so quickly? Because, as I said in the video, it was never about Lolo Jones. The media has their own set of values, and the news they report and the way they report it is designed to promote those values. Light skin and sex appeal is what they hope to promote. They knew Lolo Jones was a loser they had no business celebrating, but they also knew that you didn't realize this. So they spent years pushing the idea that where sports are concerned, light skin and Eurocentric features are so valuable that they're more important than an Olympic medal. That was the point they were trying to push. That's what clowns like Terrell Starr and Karen Hunter also promoted. And they didn't merely allude to it, they openly said it. Well, I guess there's just no way to fix stupid. The second reason the media is now knocking Jones down a peg is that it's easy to do. They can distance themselves from her without losing their power, because their goal wasn't to promote her in the first place. She's damaged her usefulness through her words and actions, and by making herself so unpopular, people are now looking for insults to throw at her. The easiest is also the most obvious, that she hasn't accomplished anything. If this keeps up long enough, light skin and Eurocentric features will become synonymous with loser, which is what the white media wants to avoid. So they pull the plug on the orgy of praise, denounce her for her words and actions, but never remind people that the only reason they made her a celebrity in the first place was the color of her skin. And it's not as if they have to worry about the American people getting wise to the scam. Americans are, as a group, stupid. They have the attention span of a gnat on crack and about as much intelligence. Airtime and print are cheap to the billion-dollar corporations who shape the culture through the media, and the people accept what they're told even if it makes no sense at all, even if what they hear 5 seconds from now contradicts what they heard 5 seconds ago. The same people the media praises today, they'll be denigrating tomorrow, and vice versa. The people who own the media companies have their agenda. The faces may change, but the media master's agenda will not. Remember, these people play chess, not checkers. And I also hear she plans to try to make a movie career, starting with a low-budget flick with Nicolas Cage. You know, 10 years ago when Nicolas Cage still had something of a career, that might have mattered. But today, he's a joke, and his movies are going straight to video. So, while real athletes like Gina Carano are doing Fast and Furious, Lolo Jones is doing something with Nicolas Cage. So all the clowns who told themselves that Lolo Jones could make a career off her looks are looking pretty dumb. Getting some TV producer to put you in front of a camera is easy, but getting a producer to keep you in front of that camera is a lot harder. Giving an interview is one thing. Giving on-air commentary about sports is something else entirely, and neither one of them is anything like doing a movie. Neither Lolo Jones nor her boosters ever understood that. In fact, they don't seem to understand much of anything, except that they love themselves some light skin. And as for Lolo Jones, the conceited, underperforming loudmouth, well, she just looks like a loser and a train wreck. But it's her supporters who should be truly ashamed, because now neither they nor Jones can conveniently blame someone else.